Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Wrestling with Things. We wrestle with all sorts of things in sports and entertainment. And now, here are your hosts, David and Sammy Joseph.
We don't always get to talk about them, but when it's time to talk about them, we will do it because it is best for business. AEW had the shock of the world where the icon, the vigilante, the WCW legend returned to TNT. Sting, at 61 years old, appeared on AEW. He came in and, took the side of Cody Rhodes and skateboarder Darby Allin. So, Sammy, what are your thoughts on Sting deciding to take his talents to the rival company on TNT again? And what do you even think AEW could ultimately get out of this and vice versa?
Dave, I think, can I address something else before we even get to that topic?
Of course.
You don't think this is one of the things that's always gonna hurt Sting is in terms of legacy, in terms of the best to ever do it in the conversation. That's one of the main things that's stopping him from reaching that type of conversation. He wants to go everywhere. He always wants to be in the secondary areas where there's a little bit of talent, but there's really nobody who can go eye to eye with you. There's nobody who can even give you a run for your money. And that's one of the things that I'm pissed off about this first. I want to know what you think about that before we even address the other thing.
No, I think I have to agree with it. As big of a Sting fan as I am, I think legacy-wise, it ultimately leaves a bad taste in my mouth. And I think if you really, like to rank these performers and main event stars fairly, I think it should leave a bad taste in anybody's mouth, because here's what bothers me, man. You knew in your prime you could have had a path over there. You refused that. You finally, after wasting away in TNA, and I won't say it was a complete waste, because TNA had more promise and more of a boost and more stars to start with than AEW ever had. So he did some valuable things over there, but he still stayed there too long. So you waste your years with TNA when you had a path to WWE. Then you want to come when you're really old and your body can struggle to hold up. And then, we know what happened when his back and neck went out with Seth Rollins in the match. It's not ballet. Injuries happen, especially when you're that old. And, I disagree with him losing to Triple H, but it doesn't even matter, bro. You took too long to get there. You finally get there, and injury happens. So for your safety, they kept you out of the ring. Now, if I'm Sting in that position, like I said, the icon, the vigilante, the franchise player of WCW when it was competing with WWE, if I'm Sting, I'm going to look at it like, yo, I'm one of the biggest stars ever. I have one of the greatest longevities in the wrestling game than anybody else. I'm an icon. I'm a merchandise cash cow. Even now, those Sting faces and face paints, you stick that on a t-shirt, it's going to sell.
Yes.
I'm going to look at it like, if it's not a match against a big star like The Undertaker, then I'm not showing up. I'm just not doing it. And we already know that's not going to happen. So for me, I look at it like, he just sells his legacy and he sells his star power too short when he goes to these lesser companies. I have to agree with that. And I really hate to say it, because I think he's like a top 12 to 10 all-time, wrestler, maybe 15. But I have to push him back maybe because of things like this. You have to be in the ring and perform at the highest level, at the highest pay-per-views, with the biggest stars. You have to. That's what makes these moments and classics that us fans remember and hold on to. I'm sorry.
And that's one of the things that really confuses me about this move, because like you said, he is a big name. He does have a great legacy behind him. Why didn't you talk to Vince first?
Yeah.
Like why that's one question I wish I could just ask him. Like why not have a conversation with Vince and see if you can get in there with Roman, or see if you can, get in there with Brock Lesnar, or somebody, or like Edge or Randy Orton. Like, these are guys that you have not ever seen, and these are the best of the best to ever be here. Why would you not want to be with them, but you want to be with Dean Ambrose, Cody Rhodes? Why?
Yeah.
That's just one of the things that really gives me a head scratcher, because there's so much dream matches that we got robbed of because of him.
If you read in between,
because of him, because Vince would have always took him with open arms. Always.
If you read between the lines, I agree with that. If you read between the lines, I'm willing. I'm confident in an educated guess that the company wanted to be cautious about his health, so they probably was like, "We're not looking to get you in the ring unless the match is that money." And he probably took it as, "Yo, they're never gonna use me, so let me go somewhere that they will sweat me and use me." But even then, again, I think he should be looking at it like, I'm too big for that. And let's be honest, too old for that. I don't want to waste any more years not having marquee matches that people will remember forever.
Did that already.
Time, with all due respect to AEW, they're babies. A lot of them are babies to producing a wrestling show, to performing a live television show 250 plus days out of your year, nonstop. They're babies. It shows. They're not masters at this craft. The show is still tightening up loose screws all around when it comes to all around production and all around structure. You going over there because you want to be the proud papa that goes back to TNT and Tony Schiavone and JR and I'm sorry. The human being Sting looks like a down-to-earth nice guy, but it almost feels like you just want to be a big fish in a small pond all the time.
Yes. Yes.
It sounds like I'm ragging on him, but I hate to say it, bro.
I mean, that's just what it looks like, man. If it quacks like a duck and it looks like a duck, it's a duck. Because at the end of the day, man, you did that already, Sting. Like, you did it already. Like, you did that for years and years and years, and you're not 30-something, 40-something no more. You know what I mean? Like, now he's what, in his 50s? You know what I mean? Like
60s.
60s? See, I'm even off a decade. I'm like, what, for who, Sting? Chris Jericho? Because that's the only icon. That's the only icon you're gonna be in the ring with.
It's funny because I was texting a real great wrestling mind off the record, and we were talking about, like, what's the money match with Sting? I was sarcastically asking, like, what the hell's the money match? And they said the same exact thing, like, Chris Jericho. They were like, why can't be Chris Jericho and Force together? And I was like, I'm gonna be truthful. Both of them are great. I wouldn't want to see it. I'm sorry.
It's great.
Nobody wants to really see that as a main event.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's two great names.
You would want to see the name value, but you wouldn't want to see the in-ring performance like that. I wouldn't.
But my thing is, I want to know how long this deal is, because if you're really just coming for one fight, you know what I mean, you could have did that staying here, because we got more options. You know what I mean? WWE has far more options to get you that great payday, that great memorable match, that great name. You know what I mean? You could have did Randy Orton, like I said. Yeah. You could have did Brock Lesnar. You know what I mean? Like, we got so much Daniel Bryan. You know what I mean? It's like, who do you want? It's like a candy factory here, and the other place is like what is it? A shoe factory? Where you gonna get one good shoe?
Yo, I'm gonna tell you like this, man. They did announce it was a multi-year deal. I don't know if that means it's at least 2 to 3 years. So wasted.
For who?
Yeah, it's a really good question. So back to the main question. I don't know what's the main thing they could get out of it, and I don't know the main thing Sting could get out of it. I do obviously see. I'm hearing people, speculate. Cody Rhodes being the executive vice president of the company, and Sting always had connections to Dusty, and Sting is Cody's favorite wrestler ever. So I'm seeing speculation that it'll ultimately be for Cody Rhodes versus Sting, but as much again, it's not that I wouldn't like it, but it's like, yo, you got out of bed for Cody Rhodes. You got out of bed for, you see what I mean? It just doesn't sound right. No matter how good the performance is, it just doesn't sound right, and it doesn't seem worth it. And I'm not being negative, but what if this dude gets hurt even worse? It's a big risk for him. This ain't like Edge, who's still in tremendous shape and who's still in his 40s. This is a guy in his 60s. That's a big difference.
And that goes back to my point, Dave. You're risking your life for Cody.
Cody?
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? It's somebody who's not even a top 50 wrestler all time.
Yeah, I disagree with it. It's unacceptable.
Come on,
he's pouring himself out to every lesser company.
Come on, man. This is just I don't even know what to call it, because I can't call it a paycheck grab. I can't call it I just call it a loyalty thing. Hey, I guess he's just loyal to the WCW side of things, so he went over there to give his loyalty.
As much as they would want to be.
No, but they just still have a lot of WCW revolving pieces in there. Yeah. So I guess he just went over there because he's probably more comfortable with them.
Yeah. So I would assume that plays a factor for sure.
Yeah. So, but come on, man. I know you're not doing it for a legacy purpose, because you would have still been here.
Exactly. And you hear him on all the network interviews talking about, I wanted to be here. This is where I wanted to end my career. And I don't love the move at all. For AEW fans, just for clout and name, a brand name, that's all it does to me. It gives them a brand name, but I don't see how it creates new stars for their company, and they need new stars. They need stars of their own that they made.
Another problem.
And you want to know the bullshit all day on social media, and people like Mike, they sit there and talk about WWE relies on legends and part-timers. What is AEW trying to do? Taz is choking out Cody Rhodes the other day. Tully Blanchard and Arn Anderson are prominent managers on TV every week. Jake the Snake Roberts is on TV on a semi-regular. Look at them relying on stars they didn't even make. At least WWE brings in part-timers that is their property, their creation for the most part. And to tell you the truth, WWE, one thing that people sweep under the rug is the criticism of relying on the past. We should stop saying that. The full-time guys have taken over, and the part-time guys barely come. You haven't seen Brock in a while. Undertaker's gone away. Kane, Big Show, those guys are mostly done. Triple H, he's focusing on his NXT.
But to even pile on, like, look at the main guys that the company is revolved around
right now.
Drew McIntyre,
Star, new
Roman, new
fresh,
Seth, new.
Oh,
you see what I'm saying? Kevin Owens, new. Daniel Bryan,
Styles. We can keep going.
It's new.
Did AEW roll out a list?
They can't. They legit can't.
And
And this goes back to what I said before they even open their doors. It's just going to be a WCW Junior, you know what I mean, who tries to get on and get off on all of the property that was never theirs. That's exactly what the same mistakes that WCW are making. They're making them right now.
Let me blow your mind with this last piece of news. I should have mentioned that earlier. This is really gonna blow your mind. They now have a partnership with TNA, which is Impact Wrestling now, where their champions could go over there and show up on Impact, and Impact's roster could show up on AEW. To me, that's another dumb business move because, again, what do you get out of it? That almost you basically admit that you need the help. You need to borrow wrestlers from another company, and that's like a McDonald's worker being like, I don't have enough staff. Let me get some from Wendy's to work this night shift real quick. It's a bad business move, and I think it's not a good look, man. It's not a good look unless.
But who are they acquiring, David? Who are they acquiring?
That's what I mean.
You know what I mean? Who's in TNA right now?
Carl Anderson. I guess they're thirsty to use guys like that.
Who's TNA's biggest star right now?
I'm gonna be honest. I don't follow the product. I see things on social media. Based off the things I see, I'm gonna take a guess and say, I'm not going to say RVD because I actually think he just left. I don't even know who's Eric Young. I think he was last TNA champion.
Is it Eric Young? Is Eric back over there?
Yeah, he went back. He ran back mad quickly.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I guess technically it's Eric Young.
So all they're doing is they're just piling more dead weight.
But that's my problem.
That's basically what they're saying.
They think it's gonna boost their stock, but I think you're just piling more dead weight, and you're borrowing even lesser talent than yours. TNA, man, they should have stopped when they lost their crop. That Samoa Joe, AJ Styles, Kurt Angle crop. It's never gonna get as good as that, man. They had something at the time.
Mr. Kennedy left. Mr. Kennedy.
Oh, he's been gone. Gone.
Man, they're definitely done down. Come on, man. It's just WCW Junior. That's all it is.